Hi there and welcome to this episode where we're going to look at lazy daisy stitch. But first we're going to create a stem with whipped backstitch, and I'm using 3 strands of embroidery floss with a knot in the end. I'm going to start by creating a simple backstitch all the way up the stem following the marker point, and if you watch the first episode this is that exact same backstitch that we learnt then. So each time we create a stitch we bring the needle backwards on ourselves and put it back through the fabric in the hole of the last stitch that we created. Trying to keep my stitches relatively even and also a moderate size, so not too big or too small, because that really helps with the whipping effect when we come to work our way back down the stem. Okay, so now I am creating my last couple of back stitches, just bringing myself right to the top of that stem, and then I'm going to start the whipping effect to work my way back down. So to create this effect I'm going to bring my needle through to the front of the fabric, and I'm then going to feed my needle in between the thread and the fabric, wrapping it around each of those back stitches that I have created. Now you want to be careful you don't get your needle caught between the threads, but instead that you get it in between the thread and the fabric. And as you can see I'm moving in the same direction each time, so I'm feeding my needle from above the line of stitching through to below the line of stitching. And that creates a twirled effect, and the finished look is actually very similar to stem stitch. If you watched that previous episode you get this lovely coil of thread wrapping around. So let's make a start on the individual lazy daisy stitches. To begin we're going to bring our needle up through the fabric at the start of the leaf marker point and then put it back in again through that same hole. We're then going to bring our needle up at the end of the leaf marker point and pull it through the loop of thread that we have left on top of our fabric. To secure we're going to put our needle back through again just outside that loop. So let's start another one by bringing our needle up through the fabric at the start of that marker point and then back in again through the same hole, keeping a nice loop of thread on top of our fabric. Then bring our needle back up at the end of the leaf marker point and pull tight to secure, putting our needle back through just outside that loop. And we're going to continue with that process, moving along, covering each leaf with a lazy daisy stitch. And if you followed the last tutorial watching the chain stitch process, you'll see that creating lazy daisy is like creating individual links in our chain. So each time to secure we put our needle through the fabric outside the loop that we have created, just tacking it down. Now let's speed things up a bit. Now we are just finishing our last stitch, so tacking that thread down outside the loop and we are ready to tie off at the back. Lazy daisy stitch complete.